Welcome to Corks in Conversation with Sebastian Fitzek.
Christy, this is so exciting. We're actually going to be talking with Sebastian from Berlin, Germany, where he lives. And we thought coordinating time zones with California authors was hard.
I know, right? Yeah. It's much later there. So we're grateful for him to do this. And first, I want to tell everybody a little bit about him. Yeah. So Sebastian Fitzek is Germany's most successful author of psychological thrillers. His books, in case you were questioning that first statement, have sold 12 million copies.
Yes.
And they've been translated in 24 languages and are the basis of international cinema and adaptations and theater adaptations. Sebastian was the first German author to be awarded the European Prize for Criminal Literature. And he lives with his family in Berlin. And one of our favorites, and I think one of his favorites, Harlan Coben, has said that Fitzek's thrillers are breathtaking and full of wild twists, which we can attest to.
I'm pointing, it's even on the back of the cover, right here.
Yeah.
So Sebastian, it's so nice to talk to you today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Welcome.
Absolutely. All right. So before we get started on all the big questions, Cathi, why don't you tell us what we're drinking today?
Okay, so we normally do wine, but Sebastian is more of a gin and tonic guy, and so we thought it's time for us to branch out and get into gin and tonics. So Sebastian, Christy and I are both drinking Tanqueray gin and tonics.
Okay, very good.
What are you drinking?
I like Tanqueray, but I've got the Monkey 47.
Sebastian, I Googled, what do Berliners drink for gin? And they said, the first thing I got was 47 Monkeys. And I told Christy that.
Yeah. And if you haven't tried it, it's really great. I can recommend it. It's from Germany, from the Black Forest in Germany, a special dry, but it tastes really, really good and has a lot of awards. It's not my company, so I can make it.
Okay. I'm wondering how it got that name. That just seems so interesting.
I have no idea. I think there are 47 ingredients in there.
Oh,
I'm not sure about
this. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, regardless, cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Yes.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us, Sebastian.
Yeah,
all right.
Great. Thanks.
That is good. I haven't had a gin and tonic in a long time. That's good.
That is my husband's
very refreshing.
Drink, so. Yeah, they're very refreshing on this very cold South Dakota day.
And this warm.
Actually, very cold in Berlin right now. It's -2, I think. So it's for Berlin.
That's probably similar to us, I think. Then.
So we're here at around 70. So I guess what is that? 20?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good. That's very good.
Yeah,
very nice. It's sunny too today. It is. It's like a cooler breeze for the winter. But anyway.
Sebastian, she tends to rub in her very good weather to my very cold weather. So,
hey, I love to see the snow in the background. I love it. So, anyway, let's get to the first question.
Yes.
So, the Kirkus reviews describe your book, The Package, which was just released in the U.S. as a nightmarish page turner, and you may be fearful of sleeping again. So what do you think of that description, and do you get inspiration from your nightmares?
First, I think it's a great description of my book, but I have more fear with my daydreams and the daydreams, not my nightmares, because I usually get my inspiration out of the everyday and normal situations. Of course, sometimes if you read the news or watch television or online, or you talk with experts, which now I'm doing a lot. A good friend of mine, he is a forensic expert. He tells stories that you don't want to hear. And so actually, I take the reality and make a little bit less harmful. To make it more believable, because I think that reality really is sometimes much more unbelievable than what we write as authors.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Right?
The world is a crazy place.
It is a crazy place.
Oh, definitely.
I loved your main character, Dr. Emma Stein.
Okay.
The book opens with her as a child, and you take us through quite a wild ride. She has childhood trauma. She becomes a very well-trained and regarded psychiatrist as an adult, and then we won't give any spoilers away, so no one fear. But then some things happen, and she ends up in a descent into some paranoia and flashbacks. But you end up in this incredibly satisfying conclusion, but that you couldn't see coming, which I think is always the trick, right? And you pulled it off beautifully.
Thanks.
Christy and I are both avid readers, but we're also writers of mystery. So the first thing I was wondering when we got to the end was, how did you plot this? How did you do this? Do you know where you're going, or do you surprise yourself along the way?
So I usually think I know where I'm going. I think maybe we all face the same experience when we are writing, that the characters, out of a sudden, they have their own life, and then we just watch them and we no longer tell them what to do. So I have a treatment of maybe 20 or 30 pages where we roughly know where I want to go, and I think I know the ending and everything. But during the writing process, it changes a lot, and sometimes it surprises me too. Then.
So you're kind of a combination between the plotter and the pantser. Then you have like a roadmap, but then you allow some creativity to. Oh, that's interesting.
That's right. And that you mentioned Harlan Coben before, and I had the chance to meet him in New York. And he was giving a panel, and he was telling the audience that that writing is not like you start there and then you go there. So you start there and then you go there, then you go back, and then you go there, and then you go back, and then you go there. So this is sometimes something changes, or something is happening. All of a sudden, there is a daughter very important, or a mother, and you never mentioned her before, so you have to go back. So I can't say that I know everything, but I have a big picture in my head.
Yeah.
So you and I and Christy were talking before we started the cameras rolling. And so this is going to lead into my next question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So I know you wrote this, the package some years ago. Here it is again, because it's such a great cover. I love this cover.
Yeah.
Is this what it looked like in Germany as well, or is this?
Actually, I don't have it here right now, but it's more or less the same. It looks like a package, and I wanted everybody who is reading this to have the feeling, because I mean, the package is something that you like to receive, but it could be something weird or evil in it. And the idea for the package really came into my mind because I live in a very small street in Berlin, and I thought that I know every neighbor there and by name. And then the mailman, the delivery guy, asked me to take a package for a neighbor. And I said, yes, of course. I mean, that's what I meant with the typical everyday situation. You take a package for your neighbor. But then I took a look at the package, and I didn't know the name on it. The address didn't tell me anything. I knew the house, but didn't know the name. So I was thinking this could be, it could be an evil package or a weird neighbor or something happening. So my thriller mind would think this is a great entrance for a story, because it's so normal, but on the other way, it's a little frightened if you have
your mind goes there.
Yeah, if your mind goes there. So in the end, it was just an Airbnb guy who lived there for a little while, so it was no clue, no big deal. But it started off with this little plot idea, and then soon it got to Emma, and so that's what I liked about the story, that and then I wanted to come to your question. I want wanted everyone to feel that he or she is opening a package and really discovered the story by her.
It is a bit of a surprise when you open this book.
Yeah.
So when did you, Sebastian, when did you write this? Like, when did you actually work on writing this novel?
I think it was in 2016, I guess.
Yeah.
So
what's interesting to me is two things about this I think are so pertinent for right now, our times of COVID.
Yeah. Yes.
One, the idea of packages have become so important, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all having things delivered to home. Yeah. And I thought that was such a great time to release this novel when we all are getting packages delivered more than ever.
You know, after all this talk, Cathi, I just have to interrupt. I am going to start being concerned when I get packages. I wasn't until we started talking about this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. Oh.
Wait till you think of this. What is the villain called? The hairdresser.
Oh my God! Yeah. So no, there's just a bad coincidence.
Good coincidence. Because I think all of our American readers are going to be home thinking, I need this book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so let's have a drink, and we're going to take a little segue, Sebastian, into what we call the question in the bottle. We always ask the authors we talk to a random question that you might get to at the end of a bottle, the bottom of a bottle. If you don't like it, we'll pass.
Okay. All right. So if you were given $5 million to open a small museum, or I should say 5 million euros. Okay. To open a small museum, what kind of museum would you create?
Oh.
That's an interesting one.
That's a very interesting question. I never was asked this before. I don't think necessarily that it would be a museum that would have something to do with thriller, or I think it, as I'm a book lover and a lot of printed books, I don't know, that's huge money. so I would, maybe I would have a museum and to show the first editions of the most popular books of the world, like the first edition of Harry Potter signed by J.K. Rowling.
Oh,
that's cool.
And you have something like this. So that could be a great museum.
Oh, okay.
Good. And I will say, Sebastian, I have been to Berlin and I loved it. It is a beautiful city. Germany is one of my favorite places on earth. And it is full of really cool museums.
That's right.
So, Christy, I don't know if you knew that when you asked that question, but Germany has got just this really cool collective of museums. I mean, just strange, little, odd, interesting museums because you have so much history that we don't have over here.
But here you have really great museums too. So
we do.
But Berlin really is exceptional. It's really
it's a cool city.
Right,
it was
and I haven't been to Berlin. I've been to other parts of Germany, but I've never been to Berlin. So I guess I'll have to go.
I visited Berlin, Sebastian, so long ago that I got to go into East Berlin 1 year before it closed, before they knocked the wall down.
Really?
That was the last time. That was the last time you've been to Berlin.
I was in high school. I mean, in fairness, it was in 1986 or 1985.
Yeah, but it's very interesting. I mean, you're lucky that you saw both. It's something that
it's fascinating.
Berliners can't imagine, which were born after.
Yeah, it was amazing. Actually, it was really. I have pictures of my 16-year-old self at Checkpoint Charlie. If you can look at that.
Wow,
that's very good. But to be honest, as Berliners, I'm a born Berliner, and we are a minority because I think 51% of the citizens of Berlin, they come from everywhere, which is great too. But as a born Berliner, as a born West Berliner, we always felt special. So it's like when they say like you said, like a German author, we always feel like I'm a Berlin author.
I'm a Berlin author, right?
Okay.
Ich bin ein Berliner. right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, but of course, I love Germany too. But Berlin was always different. Berlin is always it's a little bit ugly, to be honest. They have a very weird humor. They are yeah, it's harsh, very harsh persons,
Yes.
but it's I think to visit it's great because it's still
Beautiful
compared
place.
to other capitals, it's very cheap compared to capitals.
Yeah.
So compared to
oh, really?
Yeah.
I think we would call over here what Berliners think of as humor as we would call it dry humor, I think.
Yeah.
You guys call it harsh. I think it's very dry humor.
Or maybe they're just unpolite.
I don't know. Okay, let's get on to the questions. Okay. We deviated. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so I love the story of how you became a writer when I was reading on your, I guess, website or something. And you've tried a few different jobs before. Cathi and I did the same. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how you got started in writing and then how you got published?
Oh yeah, that's I never planned to be a writer. As you mentioned, I wanted to play tennis or drums, or I studied law and I worked for a radio station. So I did many jobs, but then I was always a reader, and I think every reader sometimes thinks, oh, maybe there's something in my head, and then I tried it, and I had I thought that I had a great plot, which led me to my first book, Therapy. But then I made the very big mistake. So my writing process was just like I was trying to get this book that I have in my head on paper, and I wrote every day when I was able to, because had a real job and had to do it in my spare time. So it took me about 2 years, and then I had a first draft. And like Hemingway said, that the first draft always sucks. So, but I wasn't aware of this. I thought it's brilliant, and
it's finished. I'm done.
I sent it to every publisher in Germany, which I knew, and it was only the big names, and it would be the same. Like I would, for example, like play just 1 week an instrument and then go to a philharmonic orchestra and say I want to play along with you. So because I'm good, and it was. Yeah, it was, and then they rejected. So it was 15 publishing houses, and 13 rejected, and 2 haven't answered till now. So it was 100% rejection. But those who answered me said, "Oh, we don't see a market for a German psychological thriller." Which was very interesting, because in these days, it was about 2004. In those days, Germans like me, we always read American authors or English, British authors, but German authors who tried to write thrillers, we said, oh, we're not sure. We don't have a legacy of German crime writers. So, but I thought they haven't read my book. They just sent me the usual letter that they send to everyone. And then I Googled literary agency, and I found one, and he was asking me questions, which was very good, because his name is Roman Hocke. He was also the editor of a very famous author in Germany and in the rest of the world, Michael Ende. He wrote A Never-Ending Story, for example, and he asked me, like, for example, he asked me, why does your book place in German and in the US? Because my first draft wasn't based in Berlin. It was based somewhere at the East Coast in the US. And I said, well, most of the thrillers that I read played there. And he said, no. They do happen there where the author knows something about where he lives, for example. So why don't you write it and in a city where you know something about it? And so I wrote it, and then it happened to take place in Germany. So it was a process. After 2 or more years, then we had a draft which he forwarded to a publishing house named Brömer Knauer. It's very big in Germany, and they gave it a try. but only 4,000 copies, so which isn't so much for it was paperback. Usually when we in Germany, when we want to give it a try, we don't go for cover and hard copy. We go directly like a pocket paper book. And then I was lucky that it got good reviews and the internet. There was a little hype of it, and so it wasn't very high on the best-selling list, but yeah, they allowed me to write another book, so it was good.
So
and the rest is history.
Yeah, I was going to say your luck turned, because when I was Googling your debut author or debut book, the thing that's written most commonly about you in the US is that your debut toppled the Da Vinci Code off of the bestseller list.
Yes.
Like, that was on everything.
Yep.
And so I'm curious about if you knew what that was like, if you were aware of the Da Vinci Code. And then secondly, ever since then, all of your books have debuted in the top 10 on Der Spiegel, which is,
that's right.
So for our American listeners, Der Spiegel is a very huge, the biggest magazine, right?
I think it's like comparable to the New York Times bestselling list, I guess.
And so you've been in the top 10 list. So I'm wondering what it was like to knock off that Dan Brown book. And are you able to ignore that success when you're writing now, or is that kind of in your mind?
Wow. Yeah, good question. Again, it's from the second book on, I was asking myself in between the writing process, will it be as good as the first one? Will the reader still love the first one, or will love the second one too? But then I had a thought which was very helpful, because I tried to remind myself of the feeling that I had when I tried to write my first book. And in this process, I never had any vision of my readers, because I didn't know anybody. I was writing, and I was crossing my fingers that that not only my parents and friends I forced to read it will read it, so that somebody else will even buy it maybe. As whenever, and it is ever, sometimes it's happening that I'm asking myself this question, but whenever I reach this point and I'm doubting if my book will be as good as the one before, then I said, this is the wrong question. You have to remind you of the feeling that you had that drove you to the desk to write it. Because we are all, as a writer, you are too, I have to say, I'm sorry, you're insane, because you're doing something that you don't know if anybody will like to read it, but you're doing it because you love to do it and you want to do it. The question I always ask myself is, would I write this book even if I knew that nobody was gonna read it? And then I think when it really comes from your heart, then there is a possibility that it's going to be a success.
Sebastian, you just gave me shivers. That's what every writer should ask themselves every day, right? Wow.
That's right. Yeah, we're all in doubt every time. I mean, and if you ask me if I think that my book is perfect, no, it's not. I would rewrite it all the time. I have a deadline to stop the rewriting process, but not the deadline till I say, oh, it's perfect. I can't do it. Can't do it any better. So yeah.
Love it.
Wow, interesting. So you are the very first non-English writing author that we've talked to.
Oh, great,
and I'll be honest, I haven't thought of this before now, but I'm wondering about the process of producing books in a foreign language. Because, how do you ensure that they're not just translating the story, but also your voice and writing style? Do you have any say in that, or?
Well, actually, as you notice, I'm always searching for words, so I'm not a native speaker.
No, you're doing great. Trust me.
You are.
Thank you very much, but I'm not as good to judge a translator or to choose one. I can read it, but I couldn't say if this really if this is yeah, the magic that's in the words, if it's the same like I intended it, but then I have people who I trust, and Jamie, I think he did a wonderful and great job, but I was only I can answer questions that he have but I'm not the one who can say if it's a good or bad translation. There's only one really funny story. I think it's a funny story. My agent wasn't laughing, but actually I was laughing because it was in Italy when Therapy, my first book, was translated, and then the Greek publisher at the Frankfurt Book Fair said, "Oh, I want to buy the rights," and I read the Italian version, but the Italian version is not so good. And we said, okay, why not? And yeah, it gives away the end at the middle of the book. So we were searching for it, and there was one chapter more than I had written.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, the translators thought that there was something missing, and he was adding something to the. But unfortunately, in this chapter that he added, he gave away the ending. So this is something that, I mean, I don't speak Italian, so I could have knew that it's a little, but yeah. So
wow, that's interesting.
We changed the translator there. So this is the only thing.
Yeah, I bet you did.
This wasn't the best translation, but.
Well, I think the English one is good, as in
I will tell you the
English.
So too, and,
it doesn't give it away.
And I think the way that it's written, I like the way the phrasing and that, and so I'm like, I'm imagining it's probably similar to the German because
I think so. Translated authors, we are always lucky because we usually sometimes when people read the book and they don't like it, and they say, "Oh, it might be a bad translation." So in Germany, I don't have this excuse.
Right.
It's interesting that Harlan Coben, who is one of our favorites and widely successful in the United States, like you are in Germany, has had great success in Europe and especially in France, I think, and Germany.
Very good, and in Germany too. And I was lucky because when I was asked after readings or online, which author would you recommend? I was able to say Harlan Coben. He wasn't that well known in Germany. He had quite success, but he wasn't so known, and people were really thankful for this advice. Then the German publisher from Holland, asked me if I could give him a quote. I said, well, yeah, of course, because I always was quoting him. I was telling, that's one of the authors I buy. I don't look at the back what the story is about. I just buy Harlan Coben, right? And then I think it was just a coincidence because they put a quote on my quote on the book. And he became #1. But it wasn't my quote. But I think the publisher thinking that it's my quote, saying, okay, thank you very much.
On his German translation?
Pardon me?
On his German translation, they put
German translation. So now he's the #1 author in Germany too.
And then ironically, look at this.
Yeah, but he gave it way before, so I was lucky. So it was not a deal. It was just, but I think I really adore him. And I have very few fan pictures, and I'm there's one picture when I'm standing beside him.
We have one of those too. We should put both of ours on our social media together. That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to search about it. I found it on my computer. It's long ago because it was a thriller. How do you say Thriller Fest?
That's where we were. Yeah,
we were there too.
Yeah. When Harlan Coben held his panel, and I had a little panel too, but I was only not my panel. I was in the panel talking about foreign crimes writers.
So I know you've done a lot. A lot of your works have been translated into film and other things, at least in Europe.
In Europe.
I know Harlan's, he's had a big Netflix deal with France.
France, I remember him talking about that.
That's right.
So
is it only in France? Isn't it in the US too? I think
it is. Yeah,
it is right in Netflix. Because I was watching. Yeah.
So what we need Sebastian's books translated into Netflix US stuff.
There you go.
Netflix, listening.
And if we are talking about recommendations, I'm not sure how big he is in the US, but I also like the style of Michael Robotham. Do I pronounce it right? Do you know the name?
Michael who?
Robotham. Robotham. Robotham, yeah.
I don't know. We're going to look it up right now.
Yeah. You have to look at him. He's from actually from Sydney.
Australian.
But living in London, and he has a series, a quite humorous but psychological thriller, and it's great. He's a great author.
Oh, good.
We are going to reach out
read
to
him next.
Sebastian, you're turning into an international connector.
I always love like you are. I'm addicted to good books, and I always love to promote good authors. But I think they help us in advance, because the more books are on the market, the more good books, the more people talk about this, and I think it's crazy that books are still at times.
It's great. I know, it is great.
I think especially given COVID times, I think books I think people have really realized the value of books and booksellers and I think it's an exciting kind of re-adventure for books. So we're so excited to have talked to you today, Sebastian.
Yes. This is so fun.
Reading to say reading is like a journey. Every book is a journey. So it's our only way to go on vacation right now.
Right, I know.
It's our only way to get out of this. Yes. Yeah. So Sebastian, before we go, Christie has one final question for you that we ask all of our authors.
Yes. This is to appease our listeners out there, our mysterious foodies. Which of your characters would you like to share a meal with, and what would it be? Any of your books.
Any of my books. I think the name of my very first hero and character was Victor Larens, and he's a psychiatrist too, and I want to give away a way of the clue of therapy, but I definitely would like to meet him, and I think I would go for what I'm going to have. I would go for with him to the same place. I would take you to a view, and you are always invited to come to Berlin.
Back to Berlin. I'm just
and if we meet us in Berlin, then there is a restaurant which is really famous for its veal. I don't know if you're vegetarian, then it's not the right place.
Veal. We're not vegetarians.
So it has a famous recipe. Everybody wants to know it, and it's a little called Big Window in Berlin. It's and whenever you're there, you have to go there. And I would take it for the veal at the Big Window.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Are you in?
Yeah, I'm in. We're traveling as soon as we can. We'll be.
As soon as we're allowed to. I think now they're closing everything in Germany right now. So
well, good luck. Hopefully everybody stays healthy.
Yeah, but I think you're doing a better job with the vaccine.
The vaccine.
I don't know if we are not, but I
I don't know how they're doing in Germany.
Yeah, what is it like in Germany right now, Sebastian? What is it like right now with COVID in Germany?
Oh, actually, everyone thought that we are doing a very good job in April until summer, but then we really lost it. We have got incredible numbers, and in average, if you compare it, I think it's worse than in the US. And now we have a problem that we don't have enough of the, like, how do you say it?
Vaccine.
That's
you can just say the shot.
The shot. Yeah, we don't have enough, and this is really a problem right now, and the economy begins to suffer, and the lockdown becomes harder and harder and harder, and the people we all fear here right now these the mutant.
The new strains.
Coming from London or for South Africa. So actually the numbers are becoming better, but everyone keeps saying, oh, it could become worse. So yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys get we're having trouble with having enough vaccine as well, but we've got a new president, so maybe.
Yeah. But you have a new neighbor then right now, right? In Florida?
Yes, he is. He's in Christie's neighborhood.
Right. I know.
And they're not so happy with him. I read in the journal.
Yeah, no.
Well, it has been an absolute delight talking with you, Sebastian.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for staying up and
was my pleasure.
Yes. So listen, Sebastian, I know a lot of our listeners are going to want to Google you, get some information, order your books. What is the best place for them to go to get information? Your website or social media?
Just my name and .com, so like sebastianfitzek.com, sebastianfitzek.com, or my name on Instagram or Facebook, and then they have this translation ability.
You've got some good little stories on your website. I like that. Yeah, it's funny. Now that's good Berlin humor, I thought. I don't know.
No. Anyway. So thank you very much for having me. It was great fun.
Yeah, so the only thing we have to say is
cheers.
Bye-bye.